Hey, everybody. We're going to be talking about producing content when official avenues fail. I'm Yoshi. Whoa, 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 whoa. Why is it doing that? Oh, I've got the stream up. Okay. I'm sorry. Producing content when official avenues fail. I'm Yoshi on the top left there, and my co-writer Greg is on the bottom left, pictured with the thing from Adam's family for some reason. And the image you see on the right is the cover of our very first fan fiction comic book we ever made together, Transformers Reanimated. Greg lives in Australia. We have never actually met face to face. Our communication is mostly handled through texting and Skype calls. And we're going to talk about what you can do when official avenues won't give you a shot. And honestly, I'm going to fly through this as fast as I can because I want to give everyone as much time to ask whatever questions they may have about the creative process and sharing your ideas and your creations, be it fan fictions, podcast, anything. So, history. To talk about what you can do with your creative ideas, I first need to talk about how Greg and I got here with Transformers Reanimated. Because honestly, we have made so much of this up simply because no one told us we couldn't do it. The spark Transformers Reanimated came along because for years I wanted IDW Publishing to publish a G1 Transformers comic book. Transformers Regeneration 1, which continued the original Marvel run, was great, except it stopped after 21 issues. Uh, well, I wasn't done visiting that universe. I wanted more. So I begged IDW to write more G1 stories. I wrote them handwritten letters. I started an online petition. The only response I ever got from IDW was literally a please stop, presumably because they were getting annoyed with all the signatures I'd been collecting. The script. Time went by, months, years, but that itch for new G1 stories never went away. So one day, with the encouragement of a friend I had made who worked at IDW, I wrote a G1 Transformers script. The idea behind it was to start filling in the gap between the end of the original G1 series, the second season of the cartoon, uh, to the 1986 animated movie. Between the end of the second season and the animated movie, there's an unfilled gap there of 20 years. Someone could write an ongoing comic book to fill that gap. So I wrote the script. I shared it with my contact at IDW, who loved it. I also shared it with Greg, my new writing partner I introduced earlier at the beginning. Greg was so impressed with the script and the idea behind it. He was so impressed with the idea of what I was trying to do that he wanted to help, and Greg wasn't going to take no for an answer. The two of us reviewed and refined that original comic book script to make it absolutely perfect before mailing it off to IDW. The art. Now, as we put the finishing touches on that script, we got to thinking that it would help if we sent some art to go along with our submission. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So having some art to go with the script would not only show the editors at IDW what our vision was, uh, it would also show them that we knew how to communicate with comic book artists. So I contacted IDW Transformers comic book artist Casey Collar. I sent him a copy of the script and asked if he'd be willing to do a commission of a cover and one interior page that we could submit to IDW. Casey contacted me back after reading the script saying he loved the story and he'd be happy to do a cover and one of the pages. And I think, from the results there, you guys can see it turned out a lot better than I ever could have hoped. Next, I contacted IDW letterer Tom B. Long and asked if he'd be willing or interested in not only lettering our page, but coloring both the cover and the page for our submission. Uh, I think the results speak for themselves. All the characters on both pages look like the comic book form of the original 80s cartoon. I personally couldn't have been happier with how this turned out. The submission. Now, the internet will tell you 500,000 ways how to submit a comic book pitch. Here's how Greg and I did it. We had the art, we had the script, we had a letter of introduction. I went to Office Max and I bought one of these. It was a pack of 5 clear front report covers with a metal clip to hold all the pages in place. It was the nicest one they had, and it cost about $10. And while I was at Office Max, I had them print out the script. I had them print out the art. I had them print out the cover letter. I had them print everything. So I took all of our hard work, had it printed out while still at Office Max, and I bound it all up together in one of the cover report portfolios. And then I placed it in a manila envelope and addressed it to IDW Publishing and mailed it off that day. 3 days later, I received an email from IDW. Hi, Yoshi. I hope you're doing well. I just got your manuscript in the mail. I did read the cover letter, but no further than that because I can't. I cannot and will not read a script that I didn't solicit. I appreciate the hard work I'm sure that you and your team put into it, but I'm afraid I can't actually read it. I'm assuming you'd like it returned, especially with how nicely bound it is. And if so, I'll get it in the mail promptly. Sorry about that, just how these things work, especially with a licensed property involved. Now we talk about the part where no one told us we couldn't. I spent the next 24 hours being angry at IDW. Greg will tell you I was livid. Anyone I showed the rejection letter to all said the exact same thing. What did you expect? You didn't go through proper channels. You know what I expected? I expected IDW to read my script and tell me it wasn't good enough. I expected them to say, try again in a few years after you've got some more writing experience in your belt. I did not expect they wouldn't even bother to read it. And all the negative scenarios that ran through my head as I wrote the script and got it ready to mail off, it never once occurred to me they wouldn't even bother to read it. I was pissed. I spent the next 24 hours after getting that rejection letter, just not being a pleasant person to be around. Rejection is fuel. After spending 24 hours of being angry at IDW, something clicked inside me, and I got on a Skype call with Greg. I told him that I couldn't let this be. I couldn't just walk away from all of this hard work. Why don't we just release the script for free? Greg agreed. While I spent the next 24 hours angrily building out the website to house our script, Greg came up with more script ideas and pitched them to me. I realized then and there that this website was going to be an ongoing project, a place not just for more G1 Transformers scripts, but for art, for our podcast, for fan art. We released the first issue of Transformers Reanimated on August 6th, 2019. That day, we got so many visitors on our website and had so many downloads of that first script that it quite literally crashed the website. Since we released our first issue of Transformers Reanimated a year ago, we have released one new script with a professionally done cover each month since. We currently have 12 issues you can download for free at transformersreanimated.com. Here are covers to just 4 of them. We currently have 13 episodes of our Transformers Reanimated podcast. All of these episodes, we've invited people to come on and help us voice the characters as we read through the script. You might call it an audio comic book. We've also done interviews with artists who have worked on covers for us from time to time. And we have posts with fan-submitted art that we've received, including fans who've drawn pages from some issues. All of this is available for free for you at transformersreanimated.com. And here's where I'm going to tell everyone to produce your own content. Why should you produce your own content? Because whatever it is that you are into, whether it is Transformers, My Little Pony, Knight Rider, She-Ra, Rick and Morty, Ren and Stimpy, even Dungeons and Dragons, writing, drawing, music, whatever it is, you love it and you need an outlet for it, or you are literally going to self-implode. You know the saying, find a job doing what you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life? Well, hobbies are like having jobs that you love, except they don't pay. In fact, they cost you a lot of money. Producing your own content, be it podcasts, a blog, YouTube videos, in this case, a fan comic book, will cost you. I've been hosting podcasts for years. I have made YouTube videos, blogs, and now fan fiction. I haven't made a single cent. In fact, I have dumped a stupid amount of money into these projects because I love them so much. And I want to take a moment and talk to you about how much a typical issue of Transformers Reanimated costs to make. There's the script. Usually, either Greg and I will write the first draft, and then we'll get on Skype and work on the script together until it's done. So the cost to us is our time, and I guess how much we pay in the internet. I think my monthly internet bill is $45, and Greg's in Australia, after being converted to US currency, is around $80. So that's 125 in internet fees just to write a monthly script. Then we have to pitch a cover idea to an artist. Most of the time I pitch artists via email. I do this because it's easier to track the work that's being done. Since starting Transformers Reanimated, I've had covers done for as low as $150 and as high as $500 for a cover. It all depends on the artist and how complex the cover is. So the cheapest single issue of Transformers Reanimated has cost us $275. That is cover art and internet fees. Now, about 3 months ago, I wanted to find out how much it would cost to have the whole first issue of Transformers Reanimated drawn, colored, and lettered. Not counting the cover, that's 20 pages that still need to be drawn, colored, and lettered. What I have learned is that on the low end, a 20-page IDW comic book costs about $4,000, and that's not including what it costs to have the cover done, or the website hosting fees so everyone can download the comic book for free. So that's why we haven't had the internal pages of Transformers Reanimated drawn. We want to do it. We know Transformers fans would enjoy the comic book a whole lot more if we did it, but $4,000 is a lot of money for something that's just a hobby right now. The upside. So you might be asking yourself, Yoshi, you've dumped countless man hours and money into this project. What's the point? What's the upside of all of this? For one, it's a creative outlet for me. So many people I know hang out taking pictures on their smartphones and posting them on Instagram or Facebook, and they live off the rush they get every time they get an upvote or a heart, a rush that goes away so quickly that these people are always trying to post something else to get more upvotes, more likes, more hearts, to get that adrenaline rush of acknowledgement. For me, I honestly get a longer lasting rush when I'm creating something, writing a new script, making a splash graphic for the website, collaborating with a music artist to create music for our video bumpers. That feeling of creating is so powerful that my social media usage has fallen by the wayside. I still use social media to promote comic releases and such, but I'm not hanging around hoping for one more like or one more retweet anymore. I'm too busy and excited to get to work on the next issue. Being a Transformers podcast host and now a Transformers fan fiction writer has opened up so many doors for Greg and I. Because of all of our past work, we're able to contact and work with some of the biggest names in Transformers to help us create art for our comics. We have met several people within the comic books industry who have been able to give us guidance all along the way. We've made friendships with people in the industry and the fandom that we never would have otherwise met. And to us, that has been worth all of the time and money we've put into this. Now, real quick, I want to take a moment and talk about how I was able to make these contacts that I have. Greg and I are both podcasters for shows outside Transformers Reanimated. We both regularly have guests on our shows. We get these guests on our shows because we send them emails asking if they want to come on to talk about their latest project or if they just like to fangirl or fanboy out with us. Most of the time, anyone we contact is happy to join us on our shows to promote the latest project they're working on. And I mean, who wouldn't? The more you can get out there and talk about whatever it is that they've been working on, the greater the chances are that they're going to have more people buy whatever it is they've been working on. The other way we've met people within the industry is by going to conventions. One thing I've learned early on in my podcasting career is that at conventions, it's about them, not me. Everyone at a convention, especially those people at a convention that recognize me, have listened and read and watched everything there is to know about Transformers. At a convention, they don't care what I have to say or think anymore, and they shouldn't. They've listened to me blab on podcasts for who knows how long. I have met a lot of great fans who are using their only vacation time they have for the year to be at that convention. They may have been saving up for a convention for months or years. That convention means everything to them. So at a convention, it's not my time to talk anymore. What I do is ask questions, and everyone, convention goers, fans, artists, writers, everyone loves being asked questions. Have you seen the convention exclusive this yet? Have you been down Artist Alley? What are you most excited to see here? Honestly, that is how I've made most of my contacts in the industry. And that's our panel. A big thanks to Cybfest for having us. Thank you for hanging out with us. We hope we've been able to encourage you to create whatever content you are super interested in. We'll be more than happy to use the remainder of our time in this panel to answer any questions you may have about this. And thank us a lot.
So, Yoshi, we did have one question in chat. I think Jason is putting them in the Zoom chat for you, but I'll go ahead and read this one out loud. Mike wants to know, if fans wanted to get involved and help, how could they do that?
Now, I know they said there'd be a little bit of lag between when I ended my panel and if there was any questions. But right after my panel is the Cybfest, I believe it's the wrap-up panel. You should stick around for that. I'm sure they're going to go over a lot of good stuff over how this went this year and what we can expect for next year.
Yoshi, can you hear me?
Yoshi, are you having trouble hearing? Liz?
I'm sorry, Ben. Can you say that again?
Liz had a question that was submitted regarding about how people can participate and fans can help out with your projects if they are inspired by your work.
Cool. If they're assuming they're talking specifically about Transformers Reanimated,
yeah.
Okay. So, honestly, it's something we can't have enough help with. If you can draw, if you have voice acting skills, if you've got music creation skills, I'm constantly looking for people that are able to fill those niches. Head on over to transformersreanimated.com, shoot us an email. I love email. I get back and forth on email like crazy. Those are the ones that pop off the top of my head. But yeah, if you guys got questions about creating your own thing too, you can feel free to shoot me an email and I'll get back to you about that as well.
Greg is also in the chat. It says hello.
Hey, Greg.
So have you wanted to get into comic book script writing, or is it more about the Transformers, or what was the driving force for Reanimated?
I love comics and I love Transformers a lot. I remember my first Emerald City Comic Con, and I met Livio Ramondelli. I was pretty ignorant of what IDW was doing with the Transformers license at the time. I can't remember what year this was. This was forever ago. And Livio was drawing on one of those blank comic book sketch covers. And I was like, oh, you can buy art. You can commission a little piece at a convention and they can draw it on a comic book cover. Hell yeah. So I've got a massive collection now of drawn sketch covers because I really, really love comic book art. And I've met a lot of artists that way. And it that was kind of the starting point. Because of that, I joined a Transformers podcast. And, I've always dabbled in writing, but I never thought it could ever be anything, and IDW's made certain of that. So I've decided just to put it out there. Until someone tells me we're so terrible, we're destroying the franchise, please stop. We're probably going to keep going with it. I mean, it's been an incredible amount of fulfilling fun for both Greg and I, or we wouldn't have, Jesus, dumped this much time and money into it for a year.
Yeah, it's hard to try to get recognized by official industries and stuff like that. I've dealt with it in music. I've dealt with it in writing and stuff like that. So yeah, it's the whole like we have to not look at your work because if you come back to us and say that we ripped you off, we have to be able to say, hey, we didn't see it.
Yeah,
It's all that-
and
all that
I
legal
was.
stuff.
It is. There's a lot of legal stuff, all of it which I've been learning for the last year. I mean, in the beginning when I wrote that script, I was just letting that IDW contact of mine mentor us, and we just did what he said to the letter, knowing full well I was going to get a rejection letter that said you're just not a good enough writer. But
Yeah.
nobody has said that yet. Nobody has come back to Greg and I and said, dude, are these words? Like, nobody has said we're not doing a great job.
Well, that's
So-
the opposite. You've had so many people love your work that
Yeah.
you're the opposite response. People like your work. Clearly, you can write. It's just that there's these stupid hurdles that are near impossible to get through
Sure.
professional realms.
And that's fine. I mean, I've grown to accept that, but I don't know if you guys are familiar with how much it takes to bring down a website. I mean, that's a phenomenal amount of traffic, and
That
I would think these are things that IDW should raise an eyebrow at, and maybe give a run like Transformers '84 more than 4 damn issues.
yeah. Yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, but like you said, people should create their own content when they can.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if they're not, they don't have those talents. There's plenty of artists like yourself that are doing it, that they can.
But like, I can't draw a straight line, and luckily I've got a small disposable income. I can hire somebody who knows how to draw straight lines. But like, $4,000 for an issue, I wish I was that rich that we could see at least one of the comics done completely. So I do hope that maybe there are fans out there with the talent and the time that can help us out.
What about doing like a Kickstarter type thing?
So that's a weird line. I really don't think Hasbro or IDW would come knocking and say, you guys are pushing a button here. You need to back it off. There's a bigger chance that Kickstarter or like a GoFundMe would prevent us just because it is a licensed property.
Right.
Now we could break off like the podcast and make it a separate web page and make it a separate hosting thing and everything, and have that funded with people full knowing that under the table that's funding Reanimated. But
Yeah, just do donations type of
yeah,
thing.
it's I don't know. I'm mulling it about because this is an expensive hobby,
Oh yeah,
but
I'm mainly a toy collector, so yeah, it's expensive in just that realm.
see, and that's a bit. I mean, to me, toys are like the end of everything. All the creative endeavors and everything. Now you get to physically hold a 3D representation of what you love.
Yeah.
Like I'm completely aware at conventions and Comic Cons and Transformer conventions, like the comics and art thing is in a small little corner. Like I get that, and I just love it so much though. That's where my heart is.
Yeah. It's very cool, man. Thank you so much. We're pretty much out of time. We got Mike coming up for our kind of reflection on our weekend with SciFest Online. Thanks Yoshi for being a part of this.
Oh, thanks for letting me be on. I really appreciate it. Greg's sorry he couldn't be here. He really wanted to be here. I know he's in the chat now, but it is what it is.
Well, he got to participate yesterday, so that was cool.
Nice. I'm gonna stick around in the chat and watch the closeout. Thanks for having me again.
All right, appreciate all your work.